Hey there, my name's Bren Vanderswag. I'm the president of GutterExperts.com and founder of GutterCon, which is being held in Orlando, Florida, February 10th to 12th at the Gaylord Palms Resort and Convention Center. I love to chat with people in the gutter industry, suppliers, inventors, manufacturers, and gutter guys and gals just like you and me. I enjoy finding out how they got into the business, where they came from, and what their businesses are doing in the gutter industry today. Please meet my guest for today, Tommy Mello, owner of A1 Garage Doors in Phoenix, Arizona. A1 is poised to do 200 million in sales this year and operates in 19 states across the US. Tommy has a podcast called The Home Service Expert, which is where I got to know a little bit more about him. I joined a mentoring group called the Home Service Millionaire Club, and where I got to know Tommy a little bit more. And he also wrote a book called The Home Service Millionaire, and has a second book coming out in March called Elevate. What else do you do?
Here's what I do, Bren. I figure out a way in which everybody could win. My vendors get to win, my partnerships get to win, the company wins, the employees win, and the customers get to win. And, we built a training center. We could handle 100 technicians per month, and we're in the middle of growing organically, but as well as buying companies. And everybody says, how do I buy more companies? And I say, well, let's look at your CRM. Let's make sure it's dialed in. And let's look at your KPIs. And did you take market share where you're at? Because the answer is not, let me take 3 guys in each market and build a lot of little companies, because it all falls apart. So I think you should be as big as you could be in your current market and just really start thinking about what's in it for them. What's in it for my clients? What's in it for my vendors? What are their goals? What are their dreams? What do they want to do? And then reverse engineer of how you can help each other. And really how to win friends and influence people and take the time to get to know the people with one-on-ones. So there's a lot we could talk about, but I think people want to know, go back to when you were $2, $3, $4 million. How do I grow from here? And the secret sauce, and it sounds easy, but it's not. It was what Al Levy taught me. It was build manuals and standard operating procedures and checklists and make sure everybody's doing it the same way. I used to have 10 different versions of my trucks. Now I have 2, installer and technician. And I've got a tool set that's same pack out for everybody. The difference is my installers get a nail gun for installing trim, but really getting systematic and letting the systems dictate the output and giving a shit is the difference. And,
when did you learn? When did you, figure that out? How many years ago?
2017, I met Al. We were doing just between 15 and 20 million.
Yeah.
And it was chaotic. It was kind of running around. We were really, really good firefighters, man. We knew how to fix stuff. We knew how to get in front of angry customers. We knew how to fix trucks when they broke down on the road. Shoot, we knew how to fix all the problems that came up every day. And then I said, this is a lot of work. And it just became boring. It became vanilla. We got to 30 million, then 40, as we started getting systematic and building out our CRM, and then getting attribution models on marketing and testing things and A/B testing and hiring for my weaknesses and our weaknesses and getting the best. All of a sudden, it was like, this is so vanilla. We're just growing, and it's easy because we just built Henry Ford built an assembly line. We built an assembly line for everything. And you're only as strong as your weakest link. That's so true. So if you can't get trucks, or you can't turn on marketing, or you don't understand capacity planning, and people ask me, when's enough? Like, what is your ultimate goal? And I say, now, I met Gary Vee and I asked him the same question. He said, at this point, it gets easier. And now I don't have a number. It used to be 100 million to get past 100 million. And now I think a lot more about profit. What is my bottom line? What are we keeping? Because a lot of people that aren't very good at business, they say, 10 years in a row, I haven't made money because I reinvested it all into the company. You haven't made money because you're not doing the right things, and you're lying to yourself because you don't want to take the responsibility. And I find a lot of people taking on way too much. They're not hiring correctly. They're trying to grow. They don't need more customers. They need to convert more, and they need to. So you do a higher conversion rate with a bigger average ticket.
Hmm.
And then you get people to come visit more often, which is service agreements, and you start using other people's money, which is financing. We call them promotions. Get better with the customers you have. Make sure you're marketing to the affluent. Make sure you got great technicians. It becomes a lot easier and systematic.
Listen, so many of the guys I know, like 17 million, 100 million, like that, just ludicrous to them. The guys that are doing under $1 million a year, I mean, they need systems just like you do, the same systems, don't they?
Yeah, you got to figure out where your time's going to get spent. And, the biggest mistake I see, Brent, is a lot of these guys, they say, we deserve a Harley, or we worked our butt off for the last 3 years, so we're going to go buy a vacation home. And a vacation home is fine if you're renting it when you're not using it. That way it's not a depreciating, it's an appreciating asset. So I think you got to have some willpower, some control. You got to put your profit away for a while, let it start working for you. It's called compound interest.
Mm-hmm.
And a business could be the most rewarding thing. It could also cost you every relationship. It could cost father and son to never talk again. It could cause divorce. It could cause struggles in your life. And there's what's called an entrepreneur, then there's an intrapreneur. And some people work better in a company where they get the wings to fly, but there's still things that they don't like to do. And they've got the controller, the CFO, they've got the payroll side. And I think that it's becoming a tougher world out there because companies like me are hiring, we can afford $300,000, $400,000 people a year. And those people are very, very good at what they do. They figure out reporting and they understand the numbers and they know what to do when they see something. And I got very fortunate because I started all the way back in 2006 and I've been able to grow slowly. I think the thing that people ask me, what's your superpower? And I'm like, I ask a lot of people for help. I usually try to be the dumbest. I try to go visit successful shops. I ask a lot of questions. I'm always asking for help, finding the best of the best and getting their feedback and advice. And the other thing is when you apply yourself to a project, there's one of three things that should happen. Either you're going to outsource it, do it in-house, or get with your HR team or yourself to hire that person. So you need to have a plan to get this stuff written down. Most companies, they don't have a plan. They don't have a budget. They say, I'm telling you right now, Brent, if the companies that are under a couple of $1 million, they say, I just want to get bigger. And they say, I want to make more money and I want to spend more time with family. And what the real great companies do at the smaller size, they say, here's where we're at the last rolling 90 days. Now, if I get 2 more leads and increase my conversion rate by 10% and my average ticket by here, and I know how much I pay per acquisition, all I need to do is put a little bit more fuel in the tank, which is marketing. And here's the outcome. And I got to hire a guy every 3 weeks. And I got to hire a new CSR every 6 weeks. And they've got a detailed plan. And it's like they know where they're going. They know the numbers they need to hit. They understand their numbers. They understand their CRM and they understand their financial reporting tool, which usually is QuickBooks. And it's the blind leading the blind if they don't have any comprehension of that. They're just like, I'm just going to go out there, work my butt off, and hopefully there's money left over. You know, Michael Michalowicz, he says, are you keeping the money first? Because you start living in a different way. I don't know who it was, but it might have been Grant Cardone. He said, if you can't save money at $30,000 a year, you're never going to save money at $100,000 because you change your lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of small business owners, they never made money like this, but they never learned financial literacy. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a huge drawback because we really spend a lot of time. We teach the Dave Ramsey program. We help people become homeowners and get out of credit card debt and understand how hard they need to work. What's in it for them? Mm-hmm. I got a book called What's in It for Them from Joe Polish, but ultimately, if you always think, how do they win? No one cares about your company setting a record. They care about, what does this do for me? Is this more freedom for me? So when you make their goals about them, it changes everything. And if you could give them a personal budget that relates to their KPIs, average ticket, how much they need to do, turnovers and financing and service agreements, and then hold them accountable to their own dreams, the whole world starts to change because now you're celebrating their personal wins, not only the company's.
I started listening to you a couple of years ago, and I know, your talk that you talk now, it's all about employees, like treating your employees right, getting the right employees in place. It's key. I had an employee here just a little while ago, and I know I talked to you personally about it, the problems I was having, drinking on the job, and you told me back then, just get rid of him, get rid of him. It's not going to work. I never did it, never did it. Guess what? He's gone now.
It's hard because we're sometimes prisoners in our own company. We're like,
Yeah.
if I fire this guy, the hardest part is understanding an apprenticeship and teaching the guys how to train a certain way through the manual and telling them the benefits of training this way, of being, if you do it this way every single time and you work on it and you take pictures and you prove evidence and you've got a data integrity team, then you start, it's hard to do that when you go hire a bunch of guys from other companies. It's easy when you start out smaller. There's an advantage because now you've got this small apprentice program and they're learning the basics, the manual, what to do with this. They get the set of tools, they get the same trucks. And then they do what we call polishing, where we go back out there and they struggle with a few things, whether that's sales, whether that's the CRM, whether that's the technical aspect of it. And we're able to really go into where their weaknesses are, but it's always different. It's different person by person. I think a lot of us, we have once a month meeting and we say, you guys got to get more reviews, but there's only one guy there not getting reviews. And the other people are like, why is this guy up here telling us we need to get, there should be a lot more one-on-one coaching. Do you think that any pro athlete or any college athlete is just getting group therapy through the coach talking to the team, or you think they're getting one-on-one time?
Definitely one-on-one time.
And I think of business a lot like pro sports. Is we could learn a lot from that. I was actually with the Arizona Cardinals. I got a tour and 2 coaches. This was last week, and they said, man, you got to have a personal relationship with these people. And that's why when you get bigger, you got to have great coaches underneath you. I like to call them coaches rather than managers. And we should be able to know their family, know them outside of work, know what makes them motivated, know how a powerful meeting should be given, and how a one-on-one that makes it about what's in it for them. And if the people don't get inspired and they roll their eyes and they're just assholes, they're probably not the right fit. But a lot of times it's the owner that's the asshole, and it all feeds down.
I know. I feel it some days.
Well, you know, a lot of times they don't want to hear it. It's their way or the highway. They don't want to listen. And until you have this mentality of how do I help you help yourself? And another thing, you got to be a talent magnet. And the third thing is you got to be able to have tough conversations with if the conversations are more about what's in it for them. They say, hey, listen, Brent, thank you, man. I really needed to hear that today. I needed for you to remember why I do this every day and how much more I should be prepared and how you've paid me to do the ride-alongs. I know what I need to do. I need to change my mindset. I need to start focusing on the good, because there's not a lot of people that have a job like this that could earn what I'm doing. And you got to help them understand that, but it should be about them and their family and what they get. Because we had 3 new homeowners 2 weeks ago. We've had new children brought into this world, and we celebrate the wins. And you always want to celebrate the wins in public. And then if there's something they need to work on, it needs to be one-on-one. Don't make your meetings in public negative. Don't ever say, we need to hit this goal. We need to do better at this. No one cares. Praise people in public. Make that an opportunity to make them shine. And other people will be like, man, I want to be that guy up there. And when there's something wrong, do not do group therapy for it. It's a mistake.
You've been doing, working on your own little, I shouldn't call it little, but you got your own little conference happening called Vertical Track.
Yeah.
How's that going?
I've got the vertical track. It's and then we're going to do the Freedom. So we're having 2. Freedom is for all home services. Vertical track's going to be a little bit more tailored to garage doors, floors, storage. And I decided to split them up a little bit so I could get a little bit more focused in on teaching them. And then a lot of the stuff for everybody is great as well.
What's the Freedom part?
The Freedom is every service. You know, home service freedom is going to be a whole new thing, and that's for everybody. And it's a buyer's group. It's learning how to buy vehicles or buy a CRM at a better price. It's actually, the rebate's going to be larger than the money they spend. And that's a little twist on it. It's a coaching, best practices, but buyer's group. with trainings and how to set up your finances and how to get your price book dialed in and how to sell, how to get reviews. And ultimately, what it's allowing me to do is learn from every industry. And there's a lot of things you learn from roofing that's different from HVAC, that's different from pest control. But when you start talking to these people, a lot of these things cross over. I learned more from HVAC than I could ever learn in garage doors. So for me, it's an opportunity to get to learn them all and share the best practices of home service. And I think it adds a lot of value because most HVAC plumbing companies, you know, the owners, if they're successful, they're flying private jets. I mean, that's just, they figured out things in the 90s that most home service companies have not figured out. And being able to share these principles like a service agreement, or, you know, we have an equity incentive program here, which we have a lot of people in the company with equity. And I think that's special because they get to be rewarded and they're running and rowing in the same direction. And people are like, well, how does that work? And the lawyers, it's what private equity does, but it gets everybody aligned. And you'd be surprised how fast things could move when they see what's in it for them. And I go back to that. It's just, you might think everybody cares about the company. Well, my mom cares about the company because she loves me. And they love the company because they've made a living here and they bought a home here and they spend more time with family. But, you know, they care about me. I know that, but they care about me because I care about them. And it shows every day when I show up here, and I'm here every day. And if you don't have that, I'd say some pivotal moments where 2014, I got Adam to be more of the integrator, help me build the price book, help me do payroll and HR and things that I didn't actually enjoy. And then a year ago, I got an amazing CFO that helped open my eyes to a lot of things. And then I've got an amazing president that helped me with the banks and get a delayed draw term loan and be able to do acquisitions. And then I've got 2 VPs of corporate development. So we're continuing to grow our bench and go deeper and deeper into the next level and have specialists. And this is how every big company starts. They hire for their weaknesses, they ask for help, and they're always networking and connecting with people. And that's why your event's awesome because
I was just going to say that. You just brought it up. The networking, I think, is so important.
Well, listen, as long as you build an environment at the event, and you do this well, of sharing, and we win together, and we work together as a team, instead of, I'm not going to tell anybody anything. I'm never going to share anything. It's crazy. If you scratch their back, they'll scratch yours back. And one day I was helping out this garage door company, 4 technicians. And I talked to him for over an hour and he goes, oh my gosh, I cannot believe you took the time to do this. He goes, you know, I got some advice for you. And I took his advice. It got us 30 extra jobs a day. It was basically had to do with the dealer portal of making sure that I'm at the top because of how much we sell. And it's something I didn't think was that important. And it's amazing if you keep an ear open and you're always trying to help people, how much comes back to you tenfold. And, you know, it says it in the Bible, but if you give, you shall receive. And some people call it karma, whatever you want to call it. It's this idea of just having an open mind and helping people and sharing your Rolodex and giving people an opportunity to win. And when you do that to other businesses, you start to form friendships and you'll find partnership opportunities. You'll find ways to win together. And your event really exemplifies some of those opportunities as long as people show up and they're willing to listen and they're willing to share. That's how you guys could win.
Yeah, we're, you know, I think about a couple people, specifically Corey. You introduced me to Corey J. And, you know, he's instrumental in helping us move forward with Gutter-Con 2023. And we've got some other people that are helping us also. Tina Hart, and she's up in Idaho. Vitaly, he's over in Oregon. And Ben Conowitz, he's in Michigan. I think he's in Michigan. Anyway, all these guys, the guys and gal, we met at GutterCon last year, and you know, we're great friends now, and we're going to have a relationship moving forward for years to come. I'm sure of that. And they're all helping. They're all speaking at the conference this year. 3 of them are speaking at the conference, and they just want to teach what they know. They're all speaking about something different. So just like yourself, appreciate it.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things where a lot of times it's hard for me to go back to a million because in my mind, what's nice is I did come from zero. I didn't come into this business at 20 or 50 or 100 million, but the ability to dream bigger is how I got there. A lot of people say 10 million, dude, you're nuts. And I've always had 100 million since the last 10 years written on when I got out of the shower was on the mirror. And I knew I was going to get there, but I started to really analyze and write down how to get there. And I've already kind of went into this, but writing things down and analyzing what would need to happen. But a lot of people, it's the blind leading the blind. And it goes back to the E-Myth revisited. Just because you're a great technician doesn't mean you're a great manager or entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying, I think readers are leaders. If you're willing to engulf yourself in knowledge and willing to listen and learn and read and podcast and network and go to these events. And the biggest thing is implement these new ideas. And sometimes you need people around you to help implement. But as owners, we have a hard time giving up anything and we want to do it all. And that's, I've learned to let go. I've learned to not even check my own email or my own mail. And yes, there's bad things that could come out of that if you've got bad people around you, but if you trust. And, you know, there's that old saying, what happens if I train them and they leave? And the question is, what happens if you train them and they stay? So people want to be led, and you just got to decide if you're a leader. And leaders got to show up. There's two types of leaders that sit in the back and they whip everybody and try to make sure they're going the right direction. And there's other leaders that lead from up front. And I try to be a leader that leads from up front, and I give a shit. And that's more than most can say. And that's why people will stay here. And during COVID, there was a line outside of my door of people that were willing to give up all their sick days and take temporary demotions. We didn't need to go that route, but the fact that we had that made me really sit back and wonder how I could be a better leader for the people that care so much. And I know it sounds so stupid, but you'll hear every big company say culture, because when you see a lot of people coming in the front door, the same people are leaving out the back door, it costs you about 60% of someone's salary to replace them. So keep the people you have, as long as if they lie, cheat, or steal, or just wrong, and they don't represent your company, then you got to part ways with them. I've had to part ways with some of the best sales guys I've ever seen, and I was actually pretty angry at Adam because we had to fire one, and he said he doesn't respect you or me. He rolls his eyes at every meeting, and everybody changed the day we did that. And it was
poised. Yeah. Listen, what are you going to be chatting about at GutterCon this year?
So it's Elevate. It's the next book coming out. It's coming out in March. I'll have some stuff that people could get a hold of it early. And really what it talks about is what we built as a calculator for the employees on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly pay. We've got our Dream Manager program that helps them dream bigger. And we help them dream bigger. My dream's big enough to fit all their dreams inside of it. And if they all hit their dreams, then I'm doing very well. And we both get to win together. Me and the clients, me and the different people, the vendors, me and the companies that we partnered with. And most of all, me and my internal customers, which are the people I get to work with. So I want to explain what some of the stuff with equity incentive programs are. I want to explain on how to really, really, really come up with a detailed plan on helping each and every person win and what a powerful one-on-one looks like. And tell you some of the stories. I'll tell you one story that I'll probably share. I'm not sure yet, but I was on a plane about a decade ago. And man, I'm telling you, Bren, I thought this plane was like literally the worst turbulence. We were dropping, it felt like floors at a time. The lights turned off. The people are screaming. Drinks are flying in the air, flying up. And we're just, the oxygen masks jumped down. And one lady's screaming. She's got her kid there. Everybody's praying. And I just put my head down. And finally, the plane started to kind of just come back. And we sat there in silence for about 15 minutes. And the pilot comes on and says, "Sorry about that, guys. We went through a couple of wind patterns or whatever it was, and some storms or whatever." And he goes, we're on the right course now. Everything's all right. We shouldn't hit that turbulence again. And in my mind, I said, "That's it? You waited 15 minutes?" I said, "That's no way to lead." Everybody wants to know what's going on in good and bad times. They want to be communicated with properly. And I think if you really want to win, you need to be able to communicate. Everybody needs to know where they stand, what's going on. They need to know you're listening. And I know this sounds cliche talking about culture and everything, but it's the best thing. It set me free. I used to focus so much on revenue, and I was doing 15, 16, 18 revenue, and I wasn't keeping very much. And I didn't have my financials in order. I didn't know where to be working when, and I didn't give too much about everybody else. I always was focused on the big picture instead of being involved individually. And I think this topic, if it moves people like I think it will, their businesses are going to be a lot better off, more sustainable to good and bad economies. And I think they're going to be a lot happier. They're going to feel better about themselves. They're going to smile a lot more. Their relationships are going to be deeper. And they're going to have a whole new outlook, a whole new mindset on the way that they view business. And if they walk away with just a little bit of that, I'll have done my job.
Awesome. Hey, listen, I really want to thank you for your time. I know how busy you are, and I really appreciate it. And just to close things up, your garage door is the
smile of your home,
but your gutters are the jewelry.
Yes,
right.
That's right.
Okay, man. I think I'm going to see you in January at the BTA.
Yep, we'll be there.
I'll have my Speedo.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
you want me
man.
to stop here?
You can stop